All right, it is 10:28, and we are already into our next segment, just like that.
We've had some good ones this morning, and this next one promises to be very enlightening as well.
Yes, let's do it. Let's bring in Gerson Gibbs. He's a business analyst. We're talking about people possibly getting $95, up to $95, and a $250 million settlement with Apple. What's going on here?
Well, regulation. The National Advertising Division realized or felt that Apple was being a little bit deceptive when they were soliciting their iPhones in 2024. Some of the features that were associated with Siri and AI and the features that will be available on the phone. And Apple kind of admitted earlier last year that this wasn't actually true, and they kind of used it for marketing purposes. And what Siri was supposed to do, it didn't actually do.
What specifically was Apple claiming it did that it didn't really do?
Well, I think they were riding on the whole AI wave. They indicated that Siri was going to be able to monitor your calendar for you, monitor your apps, kind of place itself as a kind of an assistant to you and have more than regular features from, just voice activations were going to be a little bit different. Tone control is going to be a little bit different, differently how you access it and how you use Siri. And that didn't actually happen.
So it sounds like they got a little bit over their skis, but it sounds like if it's not already happening now, it probably will be in about 10 minutes from now, right?
Yeah, well, Tim Cook indicated that by the end of this year, he expects a lot of the things that were noted in 2024 to actually be rolled out this year, if not early next year. And, I believe Apple. I think that, at times companies of this magnitude, they believe that they're going to meet some objectives that aren't actually met. But I think that the overall objective is to have Siri operate in the way that they indicated in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
How common is something like this false advertising in the tech world? Does this happen a lot?
I think that happens a lot because you're really not sure if the things that you're putting out are going to work, right? They're still in the beta phase and they're still making the adjustments and they're hoping to meet certain deadlines. But sometimes things come in the way, other companies come in the way, the landscape of depending on what you're marketing may change, and that might have a direct effect. So this happens quite often. What I think doesn't happen is the regulation associated with it. I'm from the securities industry, and there's regulation on that side. But I think there has been a little bit of deregulation in the securities side and more regulation over how these monopolies or larger corporations are soliciting the customers. So I think that the regulation has shifted a little bit, and that's why you're seeing something like this.
So this is kind of a fine line between products that are in development, maybe false advertising, but these products are being developed, and regulation. Do you think we have too much regulation in this environment?
Well, I don't think there's too much regulation. I think there's becoming a balance in regulation. I think that this administration has took a different approach on regulation, and you're seeing regulation applied in different instances where in the prior administration, the regulation was concentrated more on securities regulation. And I think this is more concentrated on, advertising regulation. We see what ICE has been doing and just different types of application to regulation by the government.
So do you think this is going to change how other companies advertise AI? Do you think this is going to set an example for the future?
100%. I think that that's what was the objective of the government, to kind of send a message to these bigger corporations, how they're soliciting to their customers and how the government is overseeing that and watching that very closely, opposed to how they were watching it in the past. I think that's just a message to other service providers to watch out how they're soliciting their services to the everyday consumer.
So this $95, it really isn't a whole lot of money. So it seems like it's more principle here versus payout, right, for this?
100%.
Yeah, 100%. The total package is what, 200 and some million dollars?
50, yeah.
$250 million.
Which is basically a rounding error, I would think, for a company like Apple, huh?
Yeah.
100%. I don't think that impacts them at all. I think they have a lot of reserves for litigation. However, I do think it's a message, and Tim Cook addressed it, so it's bigger than people think. I think that it was a message to the overall industry and that the government is really looking at this industry and how it's taking potential advantage of consumers, and they're not going to let it happen. So I think it's a clear message being sent. Not a big impact to Apple. The stock hasn't been impacted much. The stock's still been performing fairly well, but I think the message is very clear.
If someone is at home saying, hey, I want my 95 bucks, who's eligible? How do they apply? How does this all work?
The funny thing is that Clarkson Law is managing this, and the site isn't available yet, so nobody knows just yet. I think it's more about just the news and the information, and just to kind of make all of the other companies aware that the government is looking very closely at advertising to consumers.
So somebody might say, that's false advertising. We're getting our $95.
Yeah.
We need regulation on that.
Exactly.
So what should people be looking out for then? Okay, if we're not getting paid and it's like, okay, well now we need to, kind of watch our back when we're buying this new tech. What can people watch out for so they don't fall victim to something like this again?
I think it's just good to be able to hold these companies accountable for what they're advertising, because a lot of people are becoming and switching from Galaxy users to iPhone users just because of AI capabilities, just because of Siri capabilities. So I think it just helps the consumer receive a product that they've been solicited. I think it's better for overall business.
I think hype is a big deal in all of this stuff. You think about September when the new Apple model comes out and everybody's so excited about it. I think hype is a big part of this. So I just wonder what the difference in, I guess, marketing would be if they said that this AI technology is coming soon rather than it's available now. I feel like if they would have said it's coming soon, that would have saved them big time.
$250 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right?
Well, think about the competitors, right? The competitors might have some features that, address what consumers are looking for. So I think Apple is just trying to stay ahead of the game by soliciting something or working on something that they know consumers are looking for. Still very competitive in the market with relation to Apple versus Galaxy or Android users. So I think that the reason that they solicited that is because everybody knows AI is at the forefront of everybody's mind, and they want capabilities of AI in their phones. So this was a way of them to get ahead of the market. And I think that the government is using this to kind of balance competitive natures of these companies and kind of lessen the monopoly approach within these companies.
Do you think that regulation will slow down the rollout of future technology?
I think it will maybe not slow it down, but have them take into consideration how they're soliciting the customers.
So I thought it was interesting that Apple said that it's settling because it wants to focus on future innovation or something like that. Do you think that they understand what they did is wrong?
I think they were very clear what they did was wrong because, again, they admitted that it could have been perceived as a bit deceptive because a majority of the features that they indicated Siri was going to be able to do, didn't do. It's not like it was just a few. It was like maybe 90% of what they stated Siri was going to be able to do, it wasn't able to do. So I think that they knew that they were wrong in the marketing. But you got to understand, Apple is a huge company and they have internal, external marketers. So I think that they could have did a better job at marketing, and they weren't aware of the impact that this would have had. And again, $250 million sounds like a lot to us, but definitely not a lot to a company like Apple.
To an Apple, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Apple can afford it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, thank you. You've given us great insight into how we eventually might be able to get 95 bucks more in our pocket, huh?
We'll take it.
Right.
Gerson, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
Thanks for
Happy
joining
Mother's
us.
Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.